Welcome along to this evening's BTRM information session. It's great to have you all on board with myself and Moorad Choudhry. The things that we're going to be taking you through this evening are a history and evolution of the BTRM. It's been going for a few years now, and it has evolved enormously, actually, not just in terms of popularity, but also in terms of content, with the world changing rapidly. So it should evolve insofar as content is concerned. We're going to talk about what the BTRM actually is, what it involves, why it's beneficial. Part of the reason why it's beneficial is because of the faculty that is involved in the BTRM, which is primarily been put together by Moorad and his contacts around the world. We'll talk also about the candidate profiles, both the professional and academic profiles, to ensure that if you do enroll, you're suitable for the program. That's, of course, down to the admissions process as well. We'll talk about the BTRM journey, which literally starts today, acquiring information, as much information as possible about the program. We're going to break down the syllabus of the program, each module of the program, including the BTRM primers. We are accredited, so we'll talk about that. There are lots of testimonials, and we'll talk about the certification itself if you graduate from this program. We'll talk about BTRM alumni, massively important to get further information from them if you do want to enroll. We'll talk about the study partner program and our help desk. But I think now I will hand you over to the inimitable Moorad Choudhry.
Mr. Brown, good evening to you. Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you for the introduction. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. May I add my welcome to Jeff's, and indeed on behalf of everyone at BTRM, thank you for joining us today on this information session. And as Jeff said, the journey starts here. So it's 8 years old, so it's not long in the tooth. And I say that with respect to programs such as, for example, the CFA qualification, which dates many years back, but even those that are within our space, like GARP and Premier, predate BTRM, but we're focused on the balance sheet, the bank balance sheet risk management space. In fact, if I was to set up the program, if we were to set up the program today, we might even call it the Certificate of Bank Balance Sheet Risk Management, because as Jeff said, it has evolved beyond looking just into the Treasury space. But one changes names warily, only under extreme circumstances. So don't worry about that. It's not going to it's not going to change acronyms just yet. So it started in 2014. We are currently in cohort 16. The next cohort starts in April. That will be cohort 17. And it has evolved to the point where, as you'll see very shortly, we have a full university accreditation and endorsement and partnership, with something we're quite proud of. So let's move on from that. It's 8 years old now. Cohort 17 starting shortly. Oh, sorry, in the new year, April. What is it? What actually is it? As I said, it's a professional qualification, practitioner orientated and indeed practitioner developed. It's by practitioners for practitioners. So it's developed and taught by and updated by practitioners for an audience of practitioners. There's nothing academic about it. That's not to disrespect anything in academia. The point is, it's not an academic qualification. It has the rigor and the level of what we call in the UK a level 7 academic qualification, which is a graduate qualification. So it's master's level professional qualification, but it's really is practitioner orientated, as we see there on that 4th bullet point, emphasis on practical relevance and equipping the students with tools and techniques that they can apply in their day job. And to answer the question, what's it actually about? It's about bank balance sheet risk management, or bank-like institutions. In the UK, for example, we have institutions called building societies. They would be in the same space. institutions that accept deposits under regulation and lend money under regulation, a bank, if you like. And it's about balance sheet management, risk management within a banking type entity. So that started off, as I said, about asset liability management, but now it's a little bit more than that. And as far as I'm aware, it's the only worldwide qualification, one that can be delivered and is delivered and examined worldwide, that focuses on bank, treasury, finance and risk. I'm not aware that there is another qualification that sits in this same space. Benefits. Well, I would ordinarily point to to endorsements from students who have taken it. But let me say that first of all, it's graduate level, so master's level 7 as we call it in the UK. It is delivered out of London, but delivered worldwide, live streamed over the internet. But of course, the lectures are recorded, so they can be viewed at any time. And indeed, we have many students. In fact, we have more students outside of the UK time zone than within the European time zone, who will watch the lectures not live, because they could be 8 or 9 hours in front of us or 8 or 9 hours behind us in terms of GMT. So take the qualification from anywhere in the world, qualify from anywhere in the world. I mentioned it's practitioner orientated. The faculty, which I will just talk about in a second, are all practitioners. And we also emphasize, and Jeff will talk a bit more about the lifelong learning aspect. Once you have the qualification, once you've taken the program, you are alumni, and there is a continuous program of webinars and updates and the BTRM publications, like the thought leadership publications and the working papers that ensure lifelong learning, as long as you are within the profession, or as long as you wish to continue lifelong learning within the profession. The partner and awarding body is the University of Northwestern Switzerland, FHNW, to use their acronym in the Swiss, or the Swiss German, which a well-known and well-respected European university. And from last year, they are our associate partner, or a full partnership with them, which means that your qualification is awarded formally by the university, which, as I said at the start, is something we're quite proud of, because it's not just the BTRM badge that's on your certificate, it's also the FHNW, the University of Northwestern Switzerland badge that is on it. So the awarding body is a European university. I should just say, if you have any questions or comments at any time, please just write them into the chat. At the end of this presentation, we will have time left over for further conversation and questions as well, if you wish. But in the meantime, if you have anything to ask, please just write them into the chat and we'll address them as they come up. Okay, the faculty. So the faculty, it's more than 25 now. Actually, it's on 30. Actually, we're always looking to see where people who are qualified and enthusiastic and passionate about the program are interested in joining, and we're always interested in expanding it. They're all ex-practitioners or current practitioners. In fact, a large number of them are current practitioners in banks. We have a head of Treasury, we have a senior MD at a globally systemic important bank. In fact, we've got more than one of them. We've got one or two retired practitioners, one or two semi-retired, but they're all practitioners. That's the key point, from around the world, I should say as well. I have to admit, and with that, I'll say right at the start, there's quite a large number of what I call the RBS diaspora within the faculty, i.e. people that I worked with when I was a divisional treasurer at the Royal Bank of Scotland, and they have either from then, 2014, like Chris Westcott, who was a colleague of mine, a peer of mine in Group Treasury at RBS, or people have joined later on. We have a lady joining for Cohort 17's faculty, Malgorzata, who I worked with in the investment banking Treasury division. She's now within consulting in finance. She's joining the faculty next year. So there's an RBS diaspora. Kevin Liddy is one. Shomu there, Shomu Saka is another. So there is an RBS diaspora, but of course there's others as well. And again, I'll emphasize they are either current or former practitioners in the marketplace. There is someone who is on the who is now an academic, Edward Bass, Dr. Edward Bass. He's a lecturer at University of Gibraltar. Previously, he was at University of Middlesex, but he spent 15 years at Lehman Brothers. So with that kind of background, I think you'll agree with me that still makes him a practitioner. 15 years at Lehman Brothers, I think you pretty much know your stuff. So we're very diverse in as well as in our backgrounds. In our geographical locations, you can see by looking at them. So we have a diverse faculty, an international faculty, and all practitioners or former practitioners. Candidates, each year there's always a few more students. Hopefully, we love the fact that there is always a few more students every cohort. They come from various different areas within banking. If you look on the left-hand side of that box, a large number of them come from Treasury, risk or finance, but others will come from internal audit. We've had consultants, we've had business analysts from software solution providers, for example, companies like FIS and Temenos. Software solution providers have sent students. They're not exclusively within Treasury, risk and finance, but a lot of them are, as might be expected, both front office and middle office. We've had everyone and continue to attract students from the C-suite downwards. So we've had CFOs, CROs as students. I wouldn't recommend that someone who has less than about 3 years of actual work experience take the BTRM, because then, being practitioner orientated, they're not going to get as much out of it. But once you've got that initial level of experience, say 3 years upwards, then you will benefit a lot from taking the program. Now, the university background of our students varies even more than the professional background. We've had people with undergraduate degrees in quantitative subjects like maths and physics, but also more business degree oriented. We've had people who've had degrees in social sciences, history, etc., geography. So, and there isn't a limitation on that, by the way. There isn't a requirement to have a quantitative degree, for example, to attend the program. But what we would say, and I've just seen a question on the screen, thank you for that, Ian, what is the minimum level of experience and knowledge required, or what knowledge is assumed? As I said, I think if you have three or more years of experience working within banking, doesn't have to be Treasury or finance or second line of defense risk, 3 years or more of experience in banking would be sufficient for us. If it's less than that, we would recommend you wait until you've acquired that. Anything more than that is sufficient. The knowledge that's assumed is what we'd call O-level or GCSE numerate qualification. So the qualification you take at the age of 16. So not A-level maths, but what I'd call in the UK O-level. In fact, they don't even call it that in the UK anymore. It's GCSE. What does that stand for? Ed, Jeff, General Certificate of Secondary Education. Is that what it is? So the examination that you take at the age of 16 in high school in mathematics is great. Thank you, Ed. I still call it the O-level. That's an assumed level of numeracy. And that, I would say, is required. If you don't have that, then we're going to assume you have that knowledge in practical terms. If not, again, you may find some part of it challenging. It's not a quantitative analyst qualification. There is a level of arithmetic or numeracy involved in some of the lectures, and to understand fully what's being spoken about, for example, when we talk about derivatives pricing, some numeracy is required, but it's not a quantitative degree. It's qualification. That's not the point of it. The point is to understand balance sheet risk management, which requires an element of quantitative discipline, but not beyond the high school certificate, as one would call it outside of the UK. Okay. Again, something else we're proud of, the global profile. We've had students come from over 60 countries worldwide. We're very happy about that. Each cohort, there's always a new of 2 or 3 more countries represented in our student body or our alumni body. All continents, as you can see. I'd love to get that Greenland shaded in, by the way. Look, that's a large mass there up on the top left, a massive a land mass there, or the ice mass, I should say, I suppose. I'd love to get Greenland coloured in there. There's always a few more countries represented, and that's something we're very proud and excited about. Okay, employing institutions. Again, a large number of institutions. That is not the full list by no means, and there's no pattern there. what that list is meant to demonstrate is the reason we've put those names is just to show the diversity of the employing institutions. We have institutions of all shapes and sizes represented on slide 10. And again, they're not all banks. If you look down here on the left-hand side, FIS Global is one of these software solution providers that that we were talking about. PwC, of course, the international accounting and consulting firm. So they're not all banks. But there's there's extensive diversity in the types of banks that send their employees to take the BTRM. Okay, what's the journey? Well, as Jeff said, the journey starts here with the open evening or the information session, discussion on the course itself. If you're interested, apply via the online registration form, and that should be confirmed within 3 days. And then you kick off with the course. The preparation, the student handbook is the main textbook for the course, the student handbook. It's quite a chunky text, but don't let that put you off. Actually, I can show it to you. There we go. Here it is. Now, don't let the thickness put you off. When I show you that the font size is quite large, you will realize that it's not 350 pages of size 9 type font. It's less than 350 pages of about 12. Okay, so it's all the information that we think an ALM and a balance sheet risk management professional in any bank around the world needs to have to really understand their subject and get to grips with it. So the student handbook is the main textbook for the course. You do also receive the core text, the principles of banking, which is further reading. We will always recommend further reading, but the core reading for you is the handbook. Now that's sent to you before the course starts. Of course, then on a weekly basis, you'll have the slides in the presentation. That's the preparation. Lecture 1 in the program is the primer. It's not part of the exam and syllabus. The primer, that's to make sure everyone's up at the same speed. And then you have 5 modules that have the remaining lectures over a 23-week period. There is 1 or 2 lectures per week. There's always a lecture on a Wednesday evening. Sometimes, about half the weeks, there is also a lecture on a Monday evening. At the end of which you sit the written examination, and that is sat at your desktop or laptop in your own location. So it's what's called virtual invigilation. Students based in the UK will actually attend an examination centre at a set time on the exam date, 10 AM. Outside the UK, it's the same examination date worldwide, but you have the whole day to sit the 3-hour session. So that is the journey. At the end of that, hopefully, fingers crossed, all the hard work you've done, put into it, you pass, and you have the qualification. There's one either passes with distinction, or hopefully not for any of you, fails. There's three grades: pass with distinction, or well, if you don't pass, then that's a fail. But I'm sure that won't be any of you. How is the program delivered? First, the live lectures. Again, a really important part of the program is the student forum. If you look at the top on the right hand side, the dedicated student forum, where all questions, comments, queries are posted by students, and we guarantee a reply within 24 hours. Sometimes you might post a comment about a specific lecture, in which case the lecturer would answer it, or you might have a more general comment, in which case the faculty member or the admin member who is the most qualified or the most suitable or appropriate will answer it. There are, of course, the live lectures, which are recorded for watch later if you don't get to watch them live. There's the PowerPoint slides. There is, of course, the handbook. We will occasionally also put on the student portal policy templates, spreadsheet models, processes that are universal, or sometimes updates to do with regulation. They'll get posted on the forum as well. During a program, it's not unusual to have anything from 1 to 3 ad hoc webinars on a current topic. We had one just recently on the current situation with LIBOR replacement. We have one coming up in February on counterparty credit risk management and collateral management for banks who are users of derivatives or market makers and derivatives. Now, these webinars are for a general audience, but of course students also would be welcome to attend them. And then there is the lifelong learning library, which is updated based on webinars and publications that we issue during the course of any program. Okay, 23 weeks of lectures and the exam. The examined part, the syllabus, are the 5 modules, each of varying length. The longest module is module 4, which addresses liquidity risk management. Generally, the modules are grouped together related topics, but some lectures are standalone lectures, and so we put them in the most appropriate module for them. For example, we have only one lecture on credit rating process and investor relations. We have only one lecture on hedge accounting, so we don't have them in their own module, otherwise we'd have too many modules. But module 4 is all on liquidity risk, module 5 is on capital, but there's a standalone lecture in that. Module 2 groups together some various subjects, and module 1 is all introductory subjects and regulation. Okay, at the end of each module there is an online multiple choice question test, and that's not part of your final grade, but one does need to pass all 5 of them before one can sit the exam. So ideally take the test as soon as it's issued after each module. By the way, I should just emphasize the examination doesn't feature any multiple choice questions, so it's not like a CFA for examination, or in my day when I took the GARP, it's not like the FRM. There are no multiple choice questions in the examination. That's more of an old-fashioned exam, but the online tests are all multiple choice. They're just to test progress or understanding of the modules. The idea behind them is if you fail, then you're aware that you're not quite to speed as you should be on that most recent module's lectures, and you'll know what you need to study or spend more time on to refresh topics. Okay, just very quickly through each of the modules. The introduction, balance sheet risk management, module 1, which covers certainly Basel international regulatory guidance, because that drives a lot of ALM processes these days. So first of all, balance sheet risk management introduction. Module 2, the operating model for Treasury, for the Asset Liability Management Committee, and then we have some of these standalone lectures like credit risk management, hedge accounting, etc. Okay, so that's within module 2. Module 3, again, some standalone individual topics: the capital market, securitization. The most exciting topic going, resolution planning. No, I joke on that one. Possibly not the most exciting topic, resolution planning, but nevertheless one has to be aware of it. Why? Because Treasury risk and finance people are heavily involved in that side of regulatory compliance, drafting the recovery plan or the resolution plan. So again, we've got to make sure we cover it. And then I get another standalone. So module 3 is a kind of mishmash, if you like, of standalone lectures. I think you're beginning to see why we have such a large faculty, because we need specialists in individual topics spanning 20 or 30 different topics, which require specialists in their own field. Module 4, the longest module with the most lectures, and all on one topic. This one is more homogeneous than the others. It's all about liquidity risk management or related topics like funds transfer pricing or yield curve interpolation, all related to liquidity risk management. So the longest module. You're probably unsurprised to hear that, given that liquidity risk is probably the most important area for a bank to be on top of. And then finally, capital management and stress testing, and then 1 or 2 standalone topics like operational risk and principles of policy documentation. Oh yes, absolutely. Within banking, and certainly within Treasury balance sheet risk management, one deals with a lot of policies. There are policies on everything. And therefore, again, as you may well get involved in drafting policy in your institution, having a standardized approach on how to draft it makes sense. Hence, the topic is in the BTRM. You might be thinking that's a policy on writing policy. And you wouldn't be far wrong. Okay, right. Now, we do always reference further reading. And yet another thing that I'm personally very proud of is the quality of the faculty. It's a pleasure and a privilege for me to work with such high-powered individuals. There's 4 textbooks there, each written by a member of the faculty. One on the left, of course, Principles of Banking by myself, but Polina Bardeva has published a book on bank ALM. That's absolute last word on this topic. I wish I'd written that book. It's fabulous. I love that book. Michael Eichhorn has written Reverse Stress Testing, something that you'll be involved with if you do liquidity or capital stress testing in your bank. Reverse stress testing. He's authored that book. And Beata Lubinska, who lectures on ALM optimization for BTRM, has written a textbook on ALM optimization. So this is something that personally I think makes the BTRM stand out compared to other professional qualifications. Many of the people who are teaching you or lecturing to you are quoting from their own textbook. And that's not something I think you could say about too many other qualifications, because the instructor who stands up and presents the syllabus to you in some of these other qualifications will be quoting from someone else's textbook, perhaps in academics. Whereas in the BTRM, quite a few of the lecturers have authored in this space. Now, we've got 4 books there. Some of them haven't authored a book, but some of them, like Chris Westcott, have authored chapters in other books or in published individual papers. So something that, again, makes BTRM, I would say, almost unique or more unique, is that the people who are delivering the teaching have actually written the book on the subject, and it's their own text they're teaching out of. So I think that really emphasizes the practitioner angle of this, and it's the person who's done it for real is teaching you all about the topic. Now, I've mentioned the partnership with the FHNW, which means your certificate is awarded by a European university. We are accredited and endorsed by other professional bodies. In the UK, my own professional association, the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment, has endorsed the BTRM. The American Bankers Association has also endorsed BTRM. ABA, the American Bankers Association, they have endorsed from last year the BTRM, but they have a policy that says one can't use their logo under any reason. So we don't have their logo on the slides, but I am allowed to tell you that they have endorsed. We have their official endorsement from last year. Of the BTRM. CPD certified in the UK, the Financial Risk Institute are other endorsing bodies. Now, the testimonials, what have other people said about the BTRM? By other people, I mean the students who've taken the program. We've got 2 slides here of testimonials. There are a few more, excuse me, there are a few more to read on the website. I would like to pull out just the one on the top left. That came quite early on. James Hassel, at the time he was with Santander UK, he moved on to Atom Bank. Not sure where he is now. With any luck, he'll be head of Treasury at a large, systemically important bank. But or if that's not the case now, he will be soon enough, I'm sure. Now, he was either cohort 1 or cohort 2, I forget exactly, but that remains my most favorite endorsement of all the very nice ones that we have received on the BTRM. My personal favorite is his one, and I'll just read it out. I really like the way that one would learn something at a lecture and then go back to the office and apply it next day to the day job. It was that practical and relevant a course for practitioners. I don't think I personally would not wish for a higher accolade than that. We designed this to be practitioner orientated, genuinely useful, and helping you in your day job, irrespective of his seniority. You know, whether you had 5 years experience, or you were the CFO or the CRO or the head of Treasury or a board director, irrespective of that, we designed it so that whatever one was learning on the course, one would take away the next day and apply it in one's day job. So when I saw that one, I remain as excited now as I was 6 years ago or 8 years ago, sorry, when I received that from James. So the others there, do have a read of these slides when you have a minute, or look on the website, the endorsements, the testimonials. But that one really is what the BTRM is all about: teaching banking risk management, or bank balance sheet risk management, in a way, and equipping you with the tools such that the very next day or the next month or throughout your career, you are applying that discipline in a way that assists you in your day job. That's ultimately what the BTRM is about. And if we are achieving that, then we are achieving our mission. I mean, if we had a mission statement, that would probably be it. Okay, so I won't read out some of the others. You can see that they come from different institutions. Banamex City, the Mexican the subsidiary of Citibank. There's a ratings agency, someone from a quote from someone who was at Fitch Ratings, a couple of other banks. No, one's a securities exchange, actually. A bank, go back up on the previous slide. The other one is a bank. So banks, a securities exchange, a ratings agency. I mentioned that we've had other types of firms send send students to us as well. So lots of variety, lots of diversity, and I think that's the richness of the alumni experience as well, which is something that Jeff will talk about. And in fact, I'm going to hand back to Mr. Brown. Thank you for your attention, everybody. Jeff.
Thanks very much, Moorad. Brilliantly explained as usual. Thanks for your expertise. So BTRM alumni, this is hugely important if you want to find out more about the program and get feedback direct from people who have completed the program. Get in touch with me and I'll put you in touch with alumni either from your organization or from your country or region, or from alumni who work in similar roles to yourself, or from alumni who work in a role that you want to get into. And just to add as well that I joined this organization just a few weeks ago, and I made it my priority to talk to every single person who has taken this program since its inception in 2014. I'm a very long way through that list, and it has been utterly invigorating to speak to these guys. And genuinely, it's been one of the most extraordinary professional experiences I've had, for the simple reason that the feedback has been pretty much unanimously incredibly positive, and it all focuses on the practicality of the program. And when you just get so much positive talk when you're making these phone calls on a daily basis, it is invigorating. And so I really would strongly suggest that you talk to some of these guys in order to get a feel and a sense of what this course is all about, which Moorad has given you a nice introduction to, but get it from the horse's mouth, as it were, and speak to some of these alumni. Okay, the study partner program, I think, is also very important for those of you who enjoy studying on your own. Not a problem, and all credit to you. For those of you who want to study with people from your organization or with people from your region, or people, you know, in a similar role, then I can make that happen. So I can let you know who else is enrolling, hopefully from one of those three options that I'm suggesting for you. And that way you can tackle some of these challenges during the course of, you know, the 5-6 months that you're on the program together with others. So we do have a very comprehensive help desk and faculty support. So it really is. If you are struggling at any point in time to understand a particular concept or topic that's being explained during a module, then please get in touch with us and we will have one of our faculty members get in contact with you very quickly. Anything non-content related as well, we have a help desk for that too. Okay, I forgot to introduce myself and I do apologize. My name's Jeff Brown and I am responsible for all non-content aspects of this program. So not just now, but also anytime in the future, whether you make a decision in the next few days or weeks or months to enroll onto the program beginning in April, or if you decide you want to enroll later next year, the year after, I'm always there to offer a helping hand and to, you know, provide any answers to questions that you want answered. Now, we've got one or two questions that have come up in the chat. How many alumni do you have in the WAEMU zone? So you're going to have to forgive me for my ignorance.
No, it's okay, Jeff. He's oh no, sorry, you're asking the number, weren't you? Okay, so within the West Africa Economic Monetary Zone, I'm afraid I can't answer that now. But so we have someone. Well, Chris, who is not with us today, would be able to answer that. So maybe you could respond directly to Serge once we've checked with Chris how many alumni are within that. I think it's Francophone West Africa, essentially, isn't it, Serge? Yeah. That's it was, or is it countries beyond users of the CFA franc? But if you check with Chris and then get directly back to Serge, we should be able to answer it. I genuinely don't know.
In fact, I can help to answer that. So basically, if you send me an email, Serge, if you want, I'll send you an email directly to answer that question for you. I just need to count them. I've got a list of all the alumni. I need to count the ones that are in that zone. And if you want to get in touch with any of them in that zone, that would be an even better answer for you. Any more questions? Thanks, Serge. No more questions for now. Okay. There's, I'm sure. Oh, what's the difference between the full course and the self-study pack? Moorad.
Yes, let me answer that precisely. So in the brochure, this brochure, I've got a hard copy, but the brochure is on the website. The current brochure is on the website. If you turn to page 18, so there's a PDF file on the website, it lists the difference, but I'll just quickly answer them out now. The full course is essentially attending the course, sitting in the lectures, and taking the examination. The self-study is just that. You will receive the handbook, the core text, and the lecture slides, but you don't attend any of the lectures. And I'm just going to check on the forum. Yeah, the student portal. So the forum isn't available to you. It is a genuine self-study course. So the material is sent to you in the form of the handbook, each lecture slide, which is sent during the week that it comes out, and then you've got to study it all yourself with no assistance from anyone, no contact with the faculty, and then you sit the exam on the same date as everybody else. So that's the difference between the full course and the self-study. The full course, you attend the lectures live, or can do, and can engage via the student forum, which directly from the faculty, and then sit the exam. Self-study, simply get the study materials, the textbook, the core text, and the slides, and then sit the exam. That's the difference between the two.
There may be one or two questions with regards to cost. Any questions insofar as the fees are concerned, send me an email and I'll let you know what the fees are for those in your region who are enrolling. Could we ask a question?
Yeah, by all means. Is it Gus? Yeah, absolutely. You can unmute and ask the question. No need to. We're in the Q&A session. No need to right now. If you wish to speak up, do please. In the meantime,
attendees are now able to unmute.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Okay, you can unmute now. Thanks, Ed. In the meantime, Serge, do you think representation in our zone? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Sorry. While you're typing, Gus, do you want to ask a question?
Yes. Thanks for the presentation. It was very comprehensive.
Very welcome.
I actually have a question. I'm in a bit of a weird spot probably to most of your students. I joined the bank at asset-liability management as a developer, as a software developer, and I'm slowly trying to grow towards a business role, risk manager role. So I was wondering about the requirements to join the program, and how I know you mentioned like you want to have 3 years of experience working at a bank, but not specifically Treasury. So I was wondering more specifically, like for me, for example, I'm not yet in this role of risk manager at my job. I'm learning slowly about the business by developing software for them. But yeah, could this be a relevant program for me then also?
Well, first of all, I think there's a couple of parts to your questions. First of all, yeah, experience in a bank, it doesn't have to be within ALM or Treasury or risk or finance. It's just working in the banking industry is all we ask, because then you're familiar with the concept of what a bank does. But to your second question, well, it's certainly relevant if you are looking to move to the ALM function itself, which I think you said at the start you were interested in doing. Absolutely. This is going to, I mean, with my most objective hat on, and not in any way biased, which I can't be because I designed the program, but with my most objective hat on, taking the BTRM would probably be the greatest thing in assisting you, alongside any other, your own enthusiasm and energy and motivation and your own business skills. The one thing that would assist greatly to move into the ALM would be having this qualification, because it's an ALM related qualification. So very relevant. If you had said to me, I work in a bank and I'm a software development forum and I'm quite happy doing that for the next 10 years, is this relevant for me? I wouldn't have said no. I would have said, yes, it's relevant just to understand the profession. It might even make your job a little bit, when you interact with the business end, a little bit more smoother for you. So I would have said it was relevant even if you didn't have an ambition to move to the business side. Relevant in a smaller way, but still relevant. If you have that ambition, then it's 100% relevant for you, because then you're learning about the area that you want to go into. So not only will you have that knowledge, your conversations with those people in that area will be more informed as well.
Yeah. No, yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
It took me a while to. I did a lot of searching for this program, and I think it was. I thought it was the right match, and I just wanted to ask some more questions about it.
Sure. Well,
I'm excited. Yeah. Thank you very much for.
No, very welcome. Very glad to hear that as well. Thank you.
We also, Gus, we've got a lot of people from Rabobank who have done the program. So again, just feel free to get in touch with me, and I'll put you in touch with those people at Rabobank who have done it. And
I know one person. I think she actually did it when she was at another firm, though. But yes, I would love those contact information. I'll send you an email to remind you. That might be easier for you.
Sure. So the question that we weren't quite able to understand, Serge, do you think representation in our zone? Frank CFA.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you're asking there, Serge, if you want to just elaborate a bit on that. In the meantime, does anyone have any other comments or questions?
One thing to emphasize as well, this is something that some confusion that has come up in recent weeks when I've spoken to a number of candidates about this, is that the VAT, the value-added tax that you see in the pricing section of our website or of the brochure, applies only to those who are based in the UK or in the EU. And in quite a lot of cases, in some countries in the EU, you can claim that back with some ease. Everywhere else in the world, there is no additional value-added tax. For the alumni, what's beyond BTRM certification? That's a good question, Moorad.
Well, if I think I understand it, if I understand the question correctly, please correct me, Jason, if I don't. Beyond BTRM certification, formally speaking, there is the option to apply for the to take the BTRM diploma, which is a diploma level qualification and involves the submission of a 10,000 word or is it 8,000? Forgive me, it's I should know. It's 8,000, I'm pretty sure. 8,000 word dissertation based on research you've undertaken in a related field. You submit that, it's examined and marked, and you would get the diploma. That's a formal qualification. So rather than the cert BTRM, it would be DIP BTRM. We've only had, in the history of the BTRM, we've only had 2 people ever do that. So it's not something that's many people go for, but that's available. Beyond that, there is of course the lifelong learning. The fact is that one can still submit questions or comments to the alumni forum and engage in debate and conversation with other alumni or current students excuse me, and faculty. So there is that available for in perpetuity. The forum remains open to you, and there, of course, there is the invitations to ongoing BTRM publications and webinars that continues to all alumni. So there is, I suppose, if I understood the question, there's the lifelong learning, the invitations to webinars, an update on publications that we make, and an ability to continue to engage via the alumni forum as opposed to the current cohort student forum. So
I think just to add to that, Moorad, sorry. Yeah, one thing is that you have, so Jason, in answer to your question, you've got access to all the additional webinars. There's one that took place just last week, which was a thoroughly engaging discussion between Moorad and Kevin Liddy. But there are webinars taking place very regularly, and you'll have access to these in perpetuity for the rest of your careers, as well as access to all future BTRM programs. So as I say, they're evolving, the content is evolving all the time. If you want in 5 or 10 years' time to access the BTRM program, then you're more than welcome to. The other thing is what's beyond BTRM certification. So Jason and everybody else here, we also have an incredibly comprehensive employment service. And just to emphasize, so when you graduate from the BTRM program, if you're an independent delegate, then we can help you to move into the role that you're looking to move into. And if you are sponsored, however, by your organization, or if you've been in discussion with your desk head or your organization with a view to taking this program, then we will not obviously help you to move to a different organization or a different role. That wouldn't be responsible of us at all. But we do otherwise help you substantially, and that also includes interviews. So we do a lot of interview coaching for the simple reason that for every role that there is going out there, any vacancies within this space, there can be multiple applicants or candidates going for the same role. When I say multiple, it can be anything from a handful to 100. So we do everything in our power to ensure that your CV is done correctly and that your interview approach is done correctly, and that you read and research not only the job spec that you're going for, but also what team you need to research, the team that role sits in. What's the team's function within the organization? What are the organization's the bank's strategies? What are their objectives to meet those strategies? So all the possible detail that you can possibly muster when it comes to an interview situation, the right questions to ask in an interview situation for these kinds of roles, we will help you. We also have an enormous contact base, not only of people who have done the program, but also a lot of desk heads at banks that we have very close relationships with, and who will know the knowledge that you have acquired from having done this program and how practical that knowledge is. Literally in the last 7 days or 10 days, I've helped 2 BTRM alumni get interviews with other BTRM alumni for specific roles that they want to get into. So this is something I'm really passionate about, just to help people to go in the right direction insofar as their careers are concerned. That gives me enormous pleasure to do that. So it is very comprehensive, as long as you're independently funded.
Thank you.
Pleasure. How about model risk management? And I assume this is an area that will explode, considering data is going to be the key. Is BTRM does BTRM have anything to offer?
Well, interestingly enough, that's spot on, quite right. It's a growing area, a very important area. The regulators focus on it a lot. There's a current PRA consultation paper in the UK on model risk management for banks, which interestingly for me replicates a policy statement they published 4 years earlier. But from cohort 14 onwards, if I show you cohort 16's timetable, lecture 13B in module 2, in module 3 is on model risk management and ALM. So in cohort 14, we introduced that topic into the program, model risk management. But I emphasize it's one lecture and it's the connection with model risk management and the ALM discipline. There is a whole separate professional association called the Model Risk Managers International Association, of which I am a member, that specializes in this area. So as you can, just to emphasize, there is one lecture on this topic in the whole program so that all our students are aware of it, understand the significant aspects of it, and can make sure and will be aware of what they need to watch out for if it crops up in their day job. But it's not it doesn't give you the specialist skill to be a model risk manager. Let's say the MRMIA's programs and conferences would. Okay, so there is one lecture on this topic, and it's a recent one. We recognised, as we do, that syllabus is continuously updated. You know, for example, cohort 15, we introduced strategic risk management and the impact on the ICAP, the capital adequacy process. So that's, again, a new topic. So the syllabus is continuously updated. Cohort 17, I think I mentioned one of my colleagues from RBS GBM days, Smel Gazata, she's joining cohort 17. She's going to lecture on pension risk management. Now, that's not something that every bank has an issue with, but many large banks around the world, it's a big impact on their ICAP, their capital adequacy stress testing. So again, I'm just giving this as an example to indicate the syllabus is always updated. Now, there's only 23 weeks of lectures. If we just added a new lecture every cohort, we'd need, you know, after about another 10 courses, it'd become a one-year program. Interestingly enough, we do sometimes drop the odd topic or two where it becomes not as relevant or it becomes something that we don't need to emphasize. So, for example, we used to have a whole separate standalone lecture on integrated dashboards, risk dashboards. You know, one lecture on putting together a dashboard as to what should be your risk MI for ALM. But we dropped that because it's assumed within our lecture on the ALCO MI pack. You know, what should a one-slide dashboard for ALM risk indicators look like? So, you know, the syllabus is continually updated. Forgive the long answer, but I did want to give you the detail, Jason. But the short answer is yes, we do have a lecture on this field.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Any more questions? Listen, if any questions pop up, we'll call it a day for now. And thanks very much for attending.
Yes, thank you.
Wherever you are in the world. But if any questions pop up, which they have a tendency to do after events like this, just you've all got my contact details. You can reach me on 3 different phone numbers, which is probably a little too many, but hey, that's the way we live. That's the world we live in. 3 different phone numbers, or just send me an email, and I'll do my best to answer your questions.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Ed. Have a good evening.
All the best. Take care.
Thank you very much. Bye.